Er zijn 3 dingen in het leven van een kunstenaar. Ten eerste, te kunnen werken. Ten tweede, goed te kunnen werken. En ten derde, de grootst mogelijke weerklank bij zijn publiek te vinden.
Who's afraid of art? Tyrants and wannabe tyrants, so it seems.
Artist Alexandra Skotchelenko has been sentenced to 7 years in prison by St. Petersburg's invasion, spreading false information, defamation.
With autocracy growing, with tyrants on the roll, Balie brings together over 40 international artists, writers and thinkers during Forum on European Culture. We celebrate the subversive power of art and literature and curate works of opposition that preserve the histories autocrats want to erase and imagine the futures they fear.
So my question is, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Art against the tyrants. Not for the faint-hearted.
So, dobar dan, good day, goeiedag, and welcome to the Balie, welcome to the Forum on European Culture. My name is Stefan Malešević. I'm 36 years old, 200 centimeters tall, 80 kilos weight, for those of you who get the reference. And I'm a filmmaker, and I make programs, I curate programs and moderate here at the Balie. Today and tomorrow as well, I have the special honor and pleasure to welcome Mr. Želimir Žilnik. Can you please give him, for the starters, a warm round of applause? Now, we have a lot happening at the Forum on European Culture under the slogan of Art Against the Tyrants. And we have a lot happening with Želimir Žilnik. I wish we had more, because Želimir made so many films in his career, and all of them are interesting in their own way. But because of the limited space and time that we had, as you've seen, we had more than 40 other artists that we had to welcome. We give you a big, but somehow at the same time modest program of his oeuvre. So today we will have a conversation with Želimir about his life and career. And tomorrow you will have the chance to see 2 of his films, if you haven't already seen them many times, Early Works and Marble Ass. And of course, tomorrow evening, the Dutch premiere of his newest film, 80+, or in Serbian, Restitucija ili San ili Java Stare Garde. Yes, got it right. And yes, so back to today. I hope that you will also have the chance to see other programs at the Forum and other programs that we are doing with Mr. Žilnik. But for now, I would just like to know how many of you are from Yugoslavia or from countries that came after Yugoslavia? Okay, a lot. How many of you are from Novi Sad? Yeah, I like a healthy dose of local patriotism is always welcome. That's nice. Welcome, all of you. Yes, we do have some international people, so we will do it in English. And it's also being recorded and streamed for the posterity. So yeah, we're building the archive. I'm sure most of you know already who Želimir Žilnik is, so I will not further waste your time on introducing the living legend. But I do have someone who actually knows even more and more in-depth about Želimir Žilnik than me. So I'll just tell you quickly how the program will go, and then I will let you in the hands of Bojan Fajfrić. Bojan Fajfrić is a visual artist and a filmmaker himself. Living in the Netherlands, and judging by his last name, you can also know that he is one of us, and in many ways one of us. So Bojan will give an introductory lecture, but we kind of presentation, yeah, because it will be more personal than a typical academic lecture where you or a Wikipedia article. After Bojan's introduction, you will have a chance to see the Black film. Just in case you're too busy to see any of his films in the following 2 days, we give you one of his masterpieces in short form. And after the Black film, Žilnik and I will be here talking about his life, about his films, and you will have a chance to ask the questions as well. So that's it from me for now, and please give a warm applause of welcome to Bojan Fajfrić.
So, all right. So I'm really happy to be here and to talk about my favorite filmmaker. But so many things have already been written about Želimir Žilnik, and so many books, essays, so many things have been said. And I think I will not be able to give you any new insights in his life and work. And I think I will just try to give you a little bit of introduction, glimpses of his life and work. And I'm sure most of you are very knowledgeable about his work or familiar. So I will try to do something from my own position as an artist, as a visual artist, and sometimes I make also films. And I would first start with the thing to say that I think, at least for me, Želimir Žilnik is one of the most important political and independent filmmaker in Europe. At least who is still alive and working and making new films, and certainly in matter of consistency. This is something quite special about Želimir Žilnik, from his early films in the 60s to his last film, which you have a chance to see tomorrow. Consistency is something that this thread, this line exists from the beginning to not the end, but to the last film. And right. Today, we live in a kind of extreme world that it's so difficult to comprehend and for me to think about how to respond to this world, to this degradation of humanity and the depths of inhumane treatment of others is so difficult. As an artist, I can't formulate right questions. I can't really find a good way to react to such a world that we are living in. And in past, I have been going back into history, trying to figure out, trying to find steps and processes of how did we come to particular time, to particular moment in time. And I think Želimir Žilnik is a perfect example of someone who managed throughout his career to have a response as an artist, as a filmmaker in a given moment to such an extent, so poignant and so experimental that even today when you look at some films that are made in 60s and in 70s or 80s, doesn't matter, they really talk still today to us, but their references, their contexts are linked to certain events that happened in the past. So Želimir Žilnik belongs to a golden generation of filmmakers after Second World War. And that's, of course, modernist cinema. But also he belongs, of course, to a generation of Yugoslav filmmakers that were incredibly important during this brief moment of, I don't know, call it a freedom, a moment of experimentation in Yugoslavia, a short decade between early 60s and early 70s. And Black Wave cinema is something that most of you know, but it was a quite important film tendency. And I always like to repeat that black cinema was one of the most, I think, unique happenings at the time in Europe because of the fact, the historic situation was that filmmakers of that time, like Žilnik, were not treating certain themes and issues from a dissident point of view, but they were criticizing and scrutinizing certain elements of Yugoslav socialist society and really defending the idea of a better future through the lenses of Marxist theory. So this was something quite interesting, and it, of course, didn't last long. It was a moment where the system that was funding your films and making you available to make films received immediately criticism or dealing with issues like homelessness, class inequality, sexual freedom, etc., and everything. And these filmmakers, especially Žilnik, believed that this could have been done within the socialist system, within the Marxist theory. I mean, if you look at his films, for example, he started in early 60s, right? And he started in amateur cinema, amateur cine clubs. It was a very common thing in Yugoslavia. Then already in the mid-60s, he made his first professional short films. And in 69, he made Rani Radovi, early works, which brought him on the scene of European prominent and young artists, but at the same time, it gave him trouble back in Yugoslavia. And, I forgot, I should have done some of these. Some of these images will follow what I say, and some will be just illustration in general, in time, of his work. But what is also quite important about Želimir Žilnik, and that's from my own perspective, from a little bit that I know about Želimir and a little bit of time that I spent with Sarita Matijević and Želimir Žilnik, and Sarita is, of course, also a very important part of this duo who produces and distributes films. And from my modest experience of hanging out with them, I can clearly see and say that through the films you can see that Želimir Žilnik is also a great human being. And that's really, his reputation has always been like that. But once you meet Želimir, you actually could... I really thought, okay, this is something that I'm striving for as an artist. Yeah, these are some posters from Rani Radovi. He's somebody who, started his, he's ignited his cinephilia in a country that doesn't exist anymore, and that's a socialist federative republic of Yugoslavia. But also his home country also expelled Želimir Žilnik in early 70s. And it's quite now known that Želimir then emigrated to West Germany and continued making films. And in the recent 10 years, I think many people rediscovered his films from this period, from like late mid-70s and late 70s that were made in Germany. And now people can also see his influence in West German cinema as well, which is quite obvious with films like Iventur or Paradise or some other short bits. But in West Germany, his life didn't last very long because precisely from the same reasons, he was also expelled from West Germany, and it had to do with the film, as far as I remember, Paradise, which was a parody on left-wing terrorist kidnapping. And so this is the film. If you can see a little bit. And this is from shooting the film. Želimir was exploring also quite important ideas of themes of Gastarbeiters or how do you say it, guest workers in Germany, which was a very common thing at that time. And then after he left Germany, he came to Yugoslavia again and created a lot of films that were related to TV, and he made this quite special project, at least for me. Unfortunately, of course, I couldn't see it because this is a season of 76 and 77. I was just born at that time. So this was Gastarbeiter's opera that ran in a Serbian National Theater, and he continued making quite interesting films, and one of them is, it was, I guess, also a novelty for him to make a kind of a science fiction film, which is called Pretty Women Walking Through the City. Situated in Belgrade in 2041, which is not so long ago. Well, it will come quite quickly. And I was thinking we could just see, I don't know if you see enough, a short excerpt from this film.
Pimpek, Plajva, Racku, Pajser, Lulek, Piton. Tačno. Mene interesuje da živim, da volim, pa ako treba i da rađam. Da nešto radim svojim rukama. Šta mi ovde tražimo sa starcima? Šta se nas tiče koji će se jezik u koji utopiti i kako je brojno stanje Srba i Hrvata?
Vi ste za nekakvu stihiju koju nije moguće kontrolisati.
Ma nemojte.
Nije to nikakva stihija. To je najprirodniji proces.
Tačno!
Vi ovde samo govorite, planirate, gnjezdite se. A ja bih da me neko zgrabi, povali i silom razmakne noge. A vi u tom času da ne kukćete i ne klimate samo glavama, nego da se nasmešite i kažete, eto, naša deca.
Pa to rade divljaci, oni preko. Šta se gledaju?
So, basically, Želimir Žilnik continued working in Yugoslavia, and through the time, of course, the 90s became quite a difficult period where in 89, of course, so many things happened in the world, especially the end of Cold War, the Berlin Wall, etc. But in Yugoslavia, the other things were brewing under, and after Yugoslavia disintegrated, I think for me, Želimir became also a post-socialist filmmaker. And some of the films that he made during the 90s is this one, and it's the Tito Among Serbs for the second time, made in 1994. And it's quite a particular film where Žilnik brings an actor who dared actually to take a role of Tito and go on the streets and talk to people, because this was a really unpopular idea at that time, and and these conversations on the streets, they give a quite a sense of frustration and trauma, and we can see a bit from that film.
Tu su bili ležali moji saborci i prijatelji, sada ih više nema, to je netko sklonio.
Sklonili oni koji ne vole red, koji ne poštuju prošlost. Neodgovorni.
Dobro, šta su im smetali ovdje? Ovo nije ni na kakvom prometnom mjestu, nije smetalo nikome i ničemu.
Nemam pojma, i ja se čudim. Ja nisam odavde.
Vi ste iz Bosne, vi rekli?
Da.
A ovdje živite sad?
Ma kako živim, čovječe, ne živim. Izbjeglica.
Pa šta vas je natjeralo u izbjeglište?
Rat. Bosanski.
Pa kad će to prestati sve?
Nema kraja, prijatelji. Nema tom kraja.
Kako bi to moglo biti bolje od ovoga?
Ne znam. Ko će napraviti bolje? kad svi ovi do čega su doveli idu dalje.
Pa postavlja se pitanje, jel ste vi mason ili niste mason? Zašto? Zašto su recimo vašu sahranu sakrili na dan sahrane? Zašto? To znači ima nešto. Mora bude nečega toga. To nema odgovora na to. Ali kad je bila sahrana u 2 sata, vaš koček, levo, prazan sanduk u jami. Zašto?
Ali to su špekulacije.
Koliko nije istina?
Narod priča, ali to nije istina.
Pa to je znači da neko to napravio.
Ko je napravio? Ja sam već nisam više bio živ, to je netko drugi morao napraviti.
Niste bili živi, ali kažu da ste sahranjeni u Vatikanu, a ne ovdje gdje ste sahranjeni. I to se priča.
Pa zašto ako sam mason, zašto u Vatikanu?
Pa u Vatikanu, nemam ja pojma recimo zašto, to bi ja trebao da znam od vas.
Isn't this like the best exercise in absurdity and engaging with is he alive or dead? He continued. So these are a few clippings from different newspapers, international and domestic, about this film, because I like this film a lot, but I don't know how much is distributed in nowadays. And now we come, it's the same year, 94, Žilnik makes this incredible Maba-ass film that you can see tomorrow for free. It's a really great recommendation, made in a time of really difficult situation in Serbia or in the whole Yugoslavia, where people were coming and going from the war zone, and Žilnik introduces a community of quite interesting sex workers, transgender community, and here's I don't know if you can see, this is quite an interesting 6-minute shot about in what kind of circumstances Žilnik made this film, and you can just sense a little bit of atmosphere of on the set when he shot this film.
Neću, bit ću kad...
Gledaj bezobrazno.
Dobro.
Pazite, fino ćeš da kreneš, mirno, siguran si. Može, 3, 4. Krenulo, može.
Sam još uvek živ, pičkilica moja.
Ja sam za sve Merlinka, a od sad sam i za tebe.
Što je?
There's no subtitles, but it's enough to understand a little bit.
Nemoj, ej, znaš šta, trni me i pusti me, ne mogu da te, ja kad te samo dođem...
Ne, moći ćeš, to je sitnik. U odnosu na nju, superioran, u odnosu na nju. Superioran i miran, ali sam još uvijek
ludnica.
Znaš, ono ko da kažeš, u sebe moćno ili kasnije.
Da.
Ćuti. Još sigurniji, mirniji. 3, 4, sad!
Pa sam još uvek živ, pičkilica.
Ja sam za sve Merlinka.
Ajde.
A od sada i za tebe.
Stvarno?
Ja se jebem samo sa lovačarima.
Meni je odlično. Dobro je, napravili ste. Idite sad unutra, se grejete. Miljan je ovdje. Miljan. Ne, vidi, ona kaže, radim sa lovanima. To je direktno svoj nastavak, to radim sa lovanima, ti hoćeš da se ubaciš...
Pa, ovo je u Šapcu našio neko.
Pa, gospođo, o tome se i radi, zato smo tu i došli, znaš.
Poznam Šapcu.
Ne sire se to, nego idemo odmah. Tako da, pazi, ona radi sa lovanima, a vidi koja je tvoja... Ajde, ja radim sa lovanima.
Mi ćemo bilijar da prebacimo kod vas u podrum. Mušterije zajedno nabavljamo, zaradu delimo.
Slušaj, ja radim sa lovanima. Čekaj. Dobro.
Sad idemo.
Pazi, ja radim s lovanima.
Mi smo ovaj sto da prebacimo malo kod vas u podrum. Mušterije dovlačimo, a zaradu delimo.
Dobro, sad napravi jedan puta, mi bismo, znaš, malo tu, ima malo i muvanja ljudi. Idemo da probamo? Vidi, ja radim dečki s lovanima.
Mi bismo ovaj sto da ubacimo kod vas u podrum. Mušterije dovlačimo zajedno i zaradu delimo.
Dobro, super, ja mislim da je dobro. Dobro je. Idemo sad sa Nelom i Vekijem. Probaj. Ti u mene gledaš. Ja bih da postavim ovaj astal, pa da dovlačimo zajedno mušterije i zaradu da delimo. Ti reaguješ? Pa da probamo. I odmah znaš, idi na Saki, odmah da i predstaviš.
Ovo je sa Nela. Turbo, trapez.
Turbo, trapez.
Naučit ću, gotovo, ajde. Idemo.
Idemo.
Ukapirala se.
Johnny nije u kadru.
Išao.
Ko ti cigareti?
Kome ono predstavlja? Johnny...
Ona Johnny-u predstavlja, znaš. Ti se za to vreme kruti dok ovi pričaju, ali pazi, vidi ovako, znaš, ono jevo te Bog dile, ovde, je neko mene primetio, znaš, što imaš stek, oni tu nešto kenjaju. I know. Dobro, sad pazi, moj predlog je da ovaj sto ovde postavimo, dovlačimo zajedno mušterije i onda zaradu delimo. Dobro. Nemoj dobro, nego odgovaraj.
Čekaj, nismo mi to.
Pa da probamo. Ovo je sa Nela. Turbo, trapez, kurva.
Idemo još jedan puta.
Ja, ljudi sa ratišta doneli frižidere, Mercedese, zlato, a moj Johnny donao rasklivatani šifonjer.
Ja sam još uvek živ, pičkilice.
Ja sam za sve Merlinka.
Ajde.
A od sada i za tebe.
Stvarno?
Ja se jebem samo sa lovatorima.
Mi bismo ovaj sto da ubacimo kod vas u podrum. Mušterije dovlačimo zajedno, a zaradu delimo.
Pa da probamo. Dečki, sa Nela. Turbo, trapez, kurva.
Od gladi, čovječe.
Kako je spojila dva tanjira bol?
Ma kako da kad nije, ne mi laži. Ne laži.
Mali?
Nikad neće doći.
Kako je sada?
Evo stiže.
Sane, voliš glavu?
Ne, hoću konkretno sada.
Robert.
U trećoj turi glavu.
Ajde. Na liniju.
Žilnik pere ruke od svega.
Samo malo, Minja.
Tobo, sad tutanj vatre, pušti me da jedem.
Da završi ovaj...
Preženi.
Kakva je to?
Neka manika sad sve nisam na aktiv, nego ne moram da govarim.
Odličan. Da ti kažem, odličan.
Odličan plus.
Dobro.
Odličan plus.
Sad vidim, po želji, da li imaš sa strane ljuke papir?
Kaži tekst.
Nemaš u kući. Oni sedi jedi.
Jeo sam...
Pa ti si mi odgovorio.
Ili ima hleba?
Dva tanjira sam ga skucao.
Znači, Miljane, ti si mi odgovorio.
Zaboravila se sreću.
Nema, dodaj mi najveliki nož.
Ovo bi znači.
Još 38, 40 maraka ti još dođe na tamo. Dobro.
Ljudi, čorbe ima ko prašine.
Ovo ja volim.
Jel?
So, This is the next film that I would like to show, just insert from this film. But I would like to say also that the Želimir's involvement in certain struggles is not bound to a certain geographical area. The participation in particular struggles is always been for Žilnik matter of doing it on the right place. So his struggles are also international struggles, and in this film, which is called Fortress Europe, he follows really marginalized and quite severely deprived people from any kind of voice or any kind of ability to express themselves. And this has been in Žilnik's work for a long time, from the very beginning, basically a task to give some voice and really collaborate with people, not in a kind of declarative sense, which was mostly kind of what did I wanted to say? Yeah, it was mostly kind of a dissident way of doing. But with Žilnik, he was always teaching us, with watching his film, he was always reminding us that we can also get up and do things. So this one, and he could, he brought his camera not just across borders, but across boundaries, and he participates in different struggles, and his work stretches across different sort of historical, temporal, and geographical timelines. And this piece is quite incredible.
La provincia di Trieste è il confine più lungo con uno stato straniero in Italia. È il più difficile naturalmente anche da controllare.
Thomas e l'altra ma Leo
Dove che mi fermo io fermiamo un attimo prima, no?
Dammi i documenti, adesso. Io qua. Boussa, Farà, Marocchi. Adesso
qualche roba. Ah, eccolo.
Solo tu hai soggiorno. Cos'è qua? Solo soldi? Cos'hai in tasca? Solo signoria.
Non fare così, non fare così. Ascolta, tieni via quella roba.
Calma. Metti via i soldi.
Просто я хотел зарабатывать деньги немножко, чтобы мог жить нормально. У меня 25 лет, то я не женат, я хочу иметь семью, я хочу жить нормально, потому что жизнь это один раз в этом мире, не 2, не 3, не 4. Живешь, я хочу жить нормально, то я сейчас живу, но хочу лучше.
Sempre mani fuori, non mettere le mani in tasca.
Oradan geldik Hırvatistan'da. Hırvatistan'da bizi kandırdılar.
Ya?
Bir yere götürdüler, bir dağ başında bıraktılar. Az daha çocuklarımız ölüyor. Hayır. Bizi başka insanlar bir dağ başına götürdüler. Orada paralarımızı, kimliklerimizi, pasaportlarımızı, takılarımızı, ayakkabılarımızı, elbiselerimizi bir dağın başında bıraktılar. Soydular bizi. Ondan sonra biz polis aradık. Polise sığındık. Sonra geri dönmek istedik. Artık çaresiz kaldık. Geri dönmek istedik. Fakat sonradan vazgeçtim. Çocuklarımın barış içinde yaşaması için çocukların silah görmemesini istiyorum ben. Ondan sonra tekrar yola çıktık. Bir daha.
Room must be clean every day.
So, Želimir's films are sometimes really abrasive in the best sense. What I mean is like his films are made in such a way that everything what is not necessary in the film is cut away. And he really dives into the heart of matter, treating people with really quite a respect and giving them extraordinary voice, especially in these kind of films, or in Kennedy, in a trilogy about a Kennedy, a Roma guy who crosses borders, living from Germany to Kosovo, Serbia, Turkey, etc. I recommend these films. And you know, they say often, how do they say, the painter's brush is like a filmmaker's camera, right? But I think for Žilnik is quite different. I think his camera is actually a scalpel that takes away unnecessary things, because he's such a filmmaker that is not really interested in, which is fine, beautiful shots, particular makeup, panning, etc. It really concentrates on his subjects and on a collaboration with these subjects. And his films have been exhibited. He had retrospectives. They are in the collections. I mean, the influence of his work is quite spanning from very different spheres of arts, from film to contemporary art to activism to even a theater. And I hear, because in last years, actually, Žilnik had a lot of exhibitions, some exhibitions that were solo exhibitions of retrospectives in contemporary art institutions, like in Germany, in Austria, in Croatia. And it's also evident with people remaking his films from 75, the Inventory. And for example, this is an American filmmaker who remade the film in 2021, and his name is Kevin Jerome Everson. He is a quite known filmmaker. On the other hand, a contemporary artist from Turkey, Pinar Ogrenki, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She also in the same year made a remake of his film from Munich from 75. And for example, I also made, I forgot about that. I also, in 2015, I made also a small remake of Žilnik's famous scene from early works where Yugoslav, the main character, is being killed. It's a part of my short film where I explored different scenes from the Black Wave cinema. And now we can see this insert from this film. It's a fantastic film because it is with the minimal means it gives incredible content. It's very simple setup in one house, the part where people are living in Munich, and it's called, what is the name of the street? Metzstrasse 11, and Žilnik set up a camera, static camera, and people are walking down the stairs, and either with their choice of language explain who they are and how their life is in Germany, etc. And in one way, it's a very administrative, and on the other way, it offers this wonderful characters living in the mostly guest workers give us a kind of approach with the humor, and we can see an expert.
Ich bin Grieche, arbeite in MAN, Elektroschweißer. Ich ganz zufrieden von Deutschland, glaube nicht gefährlich für Deutschland.
Εγώ είμαι η Ελληνίδα, με αρέσει πολύ στη Γερμανία, έχω 12 χρόνια, είμαι πολύ ευχαριστημένη.
Ich gehe in die Schule, ich studiere in der Schule, ich bin 8 Jahre, ich mache die 2. Klasse, ich schreibe, ich lese und... Ich heiße Gennaro Ich gehe in die Schule, ich lerne Deutsch und Italienisch und ich bin erste Klasse.
Bin in Türkei arbeiten von der Sündabbrein und 4 Jahre von Deutschland arbeiten. Ist gut.
Türkçe. Altı aydır buradayım. Okumaya geldim. Babam 5 senedir burada çalışıyor. Ben kendim okumaya geldim. Şimdi lisan kursuna gidiyorum. Orayı bitirdikten sonra Berufşire'ye gideceğim.
This piece has been so many times not just remade but also shown in art spaces in contemporary context of art. And I've been always thinking what would be the parallels, because I studied fine arts. I was always thinking what would be the parallels between Želimir Žilnik and some of the people that I studied and I was looking at conceptual artists from the 60s and 70s. And of course there is plenty of people that you could compare the work, but I really wanted to show you, for example, someone like Hans Haacke, like a prolific German American conceptual artist from 60s and 70s, who was like a pioneer, just like Želimir was in film, but he was a pioneer in institutional critique and bringing all this raw documentarist material into the museums and galleries, and his work has been censored, and his shows were also closed. Or another American artist, conceptual and performance artist, Muriel Lederman-Eukelis, who proclaimed herself as a maintenance artist, and she made a very famous manifesto in the 70s where, and I like the sentence very much that she wrote about who is gonna clean up the streets after the revolution, and that somehow it really resonated with work of Želimir, and she had a fantastic piece of 1-year performance where she went all around New York boroughs, where she thanked all the sanitary workers for their job in cleaning New York, and it lasted for a year. And then there are, of course, artists like a photographer like Alan Sekula, who brought this kind of docu-fiction photographs into, like he was also a pioneer, and I would name also Marta Rosler or even other names. And Žilnik's work really had a profound impact on my work. And as I saw all his short films from the beginning, I thought, what can I do? I mean, this has all been done. And one of these pieces is Uprising in Yazak, which is a really trailblazer in docu-fiction. At that time, it was really something quite special and novel. So what Žilnik does, he goes like 30 years after Second World War, around 30 years, right? And he goes to a small village in Vojvodina, northern part of Serbia, and interviews and films local ordinary farmers and peasants who recreate and remember the 1941, the German fascist occupation. And this film is so vivid today, and it's so relevant today. And you have to understand in the larger context of that time of Yugoslavia, where there was a lot of money put in films, spectacles about the Second World War and glorious fights of partisans. And even foreign big names as actors were brought to star in these films. And Žilnik goes to this small village and makes the best partisan film for me. And someone once said that this is the film like if the partisans were making the film, it would be like this. And this elderly bunch of people who have no acting skills, no idea of performance, do this communal performance together. And it's so vivid, it really makes, even watching it today, and someone also said they are OGs, they are original anti-fascists, who were even today, if they are alive, would do the business.
Ovo je dvorište, ova avlija je bila svako večer puna partizana. Puna, radili smo i ova kujna, da zna govoriti, 1000 je naranjeno, 1000 je dočekano, i to ovako dočekano. Sa radošću. Ljubila sam ih. Dule Matić može da kaže, Koja Sučić može da kaže. Stevica Pušić je, ona je poginuo jedan drugi brat mu. Ne znam kako se zvao. I ima i tu još 1000.
A mi smo svi, iz svog celog sela, svi bežali tako preko Teočina i tako skupili se u gudure. Neko s kolima, neko sa žene sa decom i svako je to šta je ko mogao da zgrabi, što nije. Eto, tako smo se skupili, čutali, čekali dok nismo razumeli da se fašisti vratili i otišli.
Fašisti su tražili baze, svuda tražili su, svud po Kuruzovini, po Senu, po svuda tražili su baze, ne bili našli.
Selo je blokirano i kad su nas pokupili sve starce i žene i decu i sve su nas oterali gore na livadu i tu su prebrali starije na jednu stranu, mlađe na drugu i ove mlađe bilo nas oko 170. Onda mene su, kad su mene našli, ja sam radio na rudniku, oni su rekli, kad su vidjeli da sam Nedić, oni su rekli da baš mene trebaju, sigurno. Odabrali su 10 devojaka i to sve šnajderke. Popirali su i oterali za logor, jer su smatrali da žiju za partizane. Petokraka zvezde. Da sednem. Onaj što je naišao, kad me je prvi tukao, onaj drugi kaže, majku mu jebem, pa šta tučete čovjeka kad nije kriv? I kad je on počeo tući, onda je to bilo neobično. Tek onda sam vidio. Posle je me pitao za Damjana Gavrilovića. Onak je on, kada sam ja nisam priznao za Damjana Gavrilovića, počeo cokulama da me tuče po butinama ovuda, onako. I posle, kada mu je bilo dosta to, on mi je zavratio glavu i ovako. I tuda me udario pendrekom 2 puta i onda me je zavratio glavu vamo i još me bičijom žilom tuda po obrvi, onda je krv pišnula, kad je krv pišnula, onda mi je prekinuo.
So, and then we come to the black film, which we're going to shortly see. And this is also one of my favorite films that I find this black film so important, not just as something that is related to film, but it's such a conceptual piece that is, I think, so important in contemporary art or in modernist art in the 20th century, and still today holds really important place. It has been shown in many museums and put in the context of contemporary art. For me, it's a piece that transgresses so many local things and talks about really what is it to be an artist. And it's Žilnik's films are never about a righteous view. You know, it's more about criticizing and scrutinizing his own ideas and assumptions. And here he makes also fun of an idea of himself as taking this endeavor of helping homeless people, doing a real action, trying to find a solution for homelessness that at that time officially didn't exist in Yugoslavia. But he also claims that he does this only for a purpose of making a film and making success with that film. He even at the end of the film, he says the tape ran out, the film is done. And there is another aspect of this film, which I think is also quite important for my work, and that's the aspect of, there is one thing what Žilnik wants as a goal, social goal of this work, but there is also him as a private person with the intimate life. So he takes the homeless people in the middle of the night and wakes up his, at that time, wife and a daughter and brings him home to find a solution, etc. Of course, there is no solution, and Žilnik from the beginning, it's clear to him, but he's heading on to directly addressing two of these quite important themes, both with the failure. And he wrote. I will just quickly read this. And this image is from Oberhausen when he premiered the film, because he was busy filming something else. He couldn't be there, so he wrote a manifest and he engraved it on a tape, so it was shown like that. And this manifest is really also today very much relevant. And it has 6 points, as you can see. And so, Black Film Manifesto, point 1. You're observing the class structure of Yugoslav society, the lumpen proletariat and humanist intelligentsia, instrumentalized exploitation of poor for filmic purposes. A lesson to family Žilnik regarding the hungry, the dirty, and the stinky. The child needs to be shown what life really is. Point 2. In the country that is not quite sure in its name, anthem, or government, at the moment when basic needs, bread, milk, and dollars, are becoming increasingly expensive, the film cast is narcissistically enjoying the elaboration of workers' and peasants' suffering. This enables them as constitutive elements of the part of civic structure that manipulates society, an illusion of engagement and compassion. Point 3. Everybody should be screwed, including oneself, starting with scattering one's own marital bed. How would we feel if the wretches really started putting it up our asses? Luckily, that is not going to happen. Point 4. I still need to make socially engaged films, though, because I am confronting two elements. Firstly, my petite bourgeois nature that transforms my engagement into an alibi and a business opportunity. And secondly, the powerful manipulators and structures of power who would only benefit from my silence. This is why I say, fuck you to my feelings of guilt. Point 5. Film equals weapon or bullshit. And point 6, look again at point 4. So we're going to have a pleasure to see the film now, and this was a little introduction for me. Thank you.
Novi Sad, petak, 29. januar 1971. godine, sada je oko 3 sata ujutru. Evo ovih 6 ljudi našli smo da nemaju gde da spavaju noćas i u ovom dokumentarnom filmu pokušat ćemo nekako da im nađemo smeštaj.
Lošo spavam, lošo jedem, sve mi je, nemam udobnost nikakvu, hadrava Franja, molim, nemam više sada govorim. Eto, niko mi ništa ne da, ni penzije, ništa, molit ću, nema ništa da govorim.
Ja se zovem Palin Kastelan. Rođen sam u Teberinu, a sad živim u Novom Sadu. Nije baš to tako teško život, bez stana živiti. Samo trebao bi jedan stan grad ili neko da daju ovo takvim ljudima, znate, koji nema stan.
Ja sam u ulici Cveta, rodom iz Mola. Došao sam u Novi Sad tražeći posla, nemam gdje da stanem, nemam stan. Milicija nas ganja, juri, vija. Spavam po stanici, po bunkerima, po vagonima. Kad nas uvači, kojeg dobijemo, izvučemo deblji kraj, kako koji se zna naći, taj umakne, koji ne zna, taj dobije.
Ja sam Luka Bauer, rođen u Sremskim Karlovcima. Bio u Dubrovniku u bolnici 2 godine. Doputovao večeras u Novi Sad. Pa sam morao da ostanem na stanici, uvotili me vaši ljudi.
Ja sam Živanče Milorad, koji živi 2 mjeseca bez stana, spavam po podrumima, po kafanama, po bifejima i sve koji nije dobijam 10.000 dinara od grada Novog Sada pomoći, a stan košta 16.000.
Jel krupno?
Jeste.
Ja sam Želimir Žilnik, 28 godina, 72 kile, 166, 167 visok, pravnik po zanimanju, bavim se filmom, imam 1 ženu, 1 dete, stan 48 kvadrata, dvosobni, vrlo nam je dobro, prosječni prihodi 200-300 hiljada mesečno. Ovakav jedan film sam već pre 1-2 pravio, međutim ovih ljudi ima stalno.
Ajde ljudi, uđite unutra. Evo ovdje, samo tišina da se žena ne probudi. Ivana, samo smo doveli za nekoliko dana ovih 6 ljudi, samo tišina da se ne probudi dete, skinite se tu. Malo dete, skinite se. Nemoj cipele, uđi u cipelama. Ivana, nema smisla, dobili smo države stan, ovi ljudi nemaju našto mi kupovati.
Na ulici spavamo. Ja ovdje ostajem samo za 1, 2, 3 dana, a sutra dan trkavam. Šta ću ja na ulici? Ja u podrumu i dalje spavam pored uzora. Uzor je meni srpska matica.
Ljudi će da vidjeti gdje ste do sada bili.
Gdje smo do sada bili? Bili smo na patosu, na betonu, podmetuta daska.
Dobro, ja ne vidim te, ako neće da učestvujete u ovom filmu, dobro idite svako.
Ma ne moramo, nije važno.
Ja znam, dan, 2 platit će.
U redu je.
Platit će se to izgubljeno vreme, nemoj sad se svađamo. Neka, samo tišina. Ivana, nemoj se ljutiti. Da snimamo jedan film, sam rekao da ćemo snimati film, Ivana. Tišina, nemojte vikati.
Čekajte, malo ćete nas.
To će opet 2-3 dana, neće ostati duže.
Hoćete vi nas zadržati? Što nas više zadržite s otim, za nas zimska doba najbolja. I razumijete, nismo na ulici, ne zebemo, ovdje je toplo.
Koliko će ostati, koliko dana će?
Nećemo, mi idemo našim putom gdje smo i bili.
Tako je.
Pa vi tako, mi. A ja, žene, koji su 3 puta više pili nego ja. Gdje je WC? Jer ima 2 WC ovdje?
Evo ima tu u kupatlu.
U kupatlu, gdje je kupatlu? Kuda ja znam gdje je kupatlu? Ne pokaže, ne
Ivana, pokaži kroz hodnik.
Dobro, i jedno sam se okrenuo.
Svako kaže, samo je problem.
Na oči gled, ovi koji imaju stanove da izdadu, teraju čovjeka da ide u krađu i ubijanje. Na oči gled. Evo, snimaka koliko hoćete. Ne vredi ništa, možeš ići, oči da se gaviš, nikom više. Još i onda je živ. Sve od specijalista. Nalazi. I zbog čega se najviše dešava sad ljudi od 38 do 45 godina ubijstva? Natera ga neimaština.
Nevolja.
Da ne može čovjek da izdrži.
Od Brkovića, kad sam kazao Brkoviću, rekao, zašto ti imaju po 17.000? Ja sam jedini koji imam 10. Ovo kaže, dođi kod mene u petak, pa ćemo nešto od pitanja. Ja očeo, Smilja ne radi. Ne radi Smilja, kad odem tamo, Brkovića nema. Jedno 30 puta sam išao, potom sam prekiniti to. Vidim da lažu. Da je čisto to da me lažu. Kako bilo vama sad da vas izbace sa ženom i djetetom na ulicu? I da nemate posla. A ja kad krenem da pljačkam, onda će, ne samo Novosadski sub trčaj za mnom, nek 100 godina postoji u Jugoslaviji.
Ej, sad ćemo Ivana i ja otići u drugu sobu, vi se ovdje namestite po tepihu, nemamo čime, nemamo šta da vam damo da se pokrijete, ali nema veze, kaputima se sjedite. Ajde Ivana, dođi vam da uzmemo, ajde. Evo što? Da vam pomognemo.
Da ne budete sami.
U drugoj sobi.
Šta, kako ćemo?
Ne, nema potrebe. Samo molim vas, malo samo.
Ajde, prijatno svima i laku noć.
Laku noć, prijatno.
I da se ne čujemo.
Ja imam američke pčele. Američke pčele.
Ajde, sve da mi uličiš. Stvarno se ne uzem spava. Kaj ti tamo je? Pa pušući, pa nemoj slušati. Ajde, nemoj se spava. Spavaj sve će prihod. Idi bolje tamo u napolje pa spavaj, Boga je.
U Medvede. Idem ja u Medvede.
Neću više ni doći. Bolje mi je u bunkeru spavati nego ovdje da spavam sa vama. Časnije mi je, časna reč moja. Lakše mi je da spavam dole u podrumu, nek sa vama ovdje. Krčeš. Izvina ova gospođa, prdiš, puvar, bogati. Sve moraš zapoznati.
Tamo ima neke spije.
Zadreo, popijem rakijicu, zadreo.
Rekao je da spavaš. Dobro, Petra Baradino ima tamo neke velike spije.
Prihvatio me jedan čovjek da spavam u jednoj toploj sobi. I sad ne mogu da spavam od ovih bitanki. Možda ja imam vašaka. Ja sam pun vašaka. Sad ću u jednim toplim stanu.
Ej, drugovi, imam jedno pitanje. Juče sam našao 6 ljudi koji nemaju gde da spavaju, doveo sam ih u svoj stan i pokušavam negdje da ih smestim. Šta ti misliš, šta da uradim?
Da ih smestiš?
Gde?
U svoj stan.
Pa da, ali užasno me smrde.
Pa ne znam, ja mislim da bi se to trebalo javiti miliciji, od njih zahtevati da izbaci šta je, ako je zauzeti zatvori, da obezbede mesta iz zatvora i da stavite ljude tamo.
Šta ti misliš?
Što se tiče mogućnosti i ovlašćenja službe javne bezbednosti po pitanjima socijalno nezbrinutih lica, mislim da pre svega u tom pravcu mi nemamo nikakva posebna zakonska ovlašćenja. To je jedno.
Odi kod tebe. Odi kod tebe. Odi te da pita nešto. Gdje odi dućo, odi. Ajde, pa ti si tako neodbijan.
Ej, druže, juče sam našao 6 ljudi koji nemaju gde da spavaju u Novom Sadu, smestio sam ih u svoj stan i sad ne znam šta da radim sa njima, gde da ih smestim, reci mi.
Pa vidite, ima u hoteli ovi u Novom Sadu.
Nemaju novca.
Pa ne znam onda, pokušajte kod omladinske organizacije ovde na tribini, da li oni imaju neki smeštaj u Ferijalni savez.
Nešto da vas pitam. Juče smo našli 6 ljudi koji nemaju gde da spavaju i smestili smo ih u stan. Šta vi predlažete? Šta da radimo sa njima? U naš stan smo ih smestili.
A ko je to vaš stan?
Pa, moj stan na Limanu.
Aha.
Jel vi mislite da se za njih može naći neko rješenje? Idu, lutaju po ulicama.
A ne mogu da plate ovaj hotel? Pa vidite tu oko pijace ove riblje, tu oko tih zgrada oni primaju ove prodavce jabuka i drugog voća što donose iz Srbije. I oni tu svugdje gdje donesu voće da drže u podrumu, tu dobiju i stan. Dakle, tu kod riblje pijace.
Hvala vam.
Per amor dei nostri figli, per amor dei nostri figli, sebbene siamo donne, paura non abbiamo. Per amor dei nostri figli, in lega ci mettiamo. Ali, oli, olà, e la lega crescerà. Per altri socialisti, per altri socialisti. Ali, oli, olà, e la lega crescerà.
Jel vi znate da neki od njih spavaju ovde, eto tu unutra?
I to znam.
I šta kažete na to?
A ne mogu da kažem ništa, jer to su ljudi tako propalice koji nemaju ni kuće ni kućišta. I za njih ne mogu ništa drugo da kažem, nego samo tako.
Dobro.
Ako su ljudi oni koji ste vi našli, jel te ljudi, oni će se već snaći na taj način kao što sam rekao. A za ovake ljude koje mi sad postavljate pitanje, za ovde, za tih nema izlaza.
Takse su promaje, mnogo rupa ima unutri, nema prozora, nema ništa. Spavam na papiru, na uglju, bednici, jadnici, mirić nas prati, dođe, istre nas napolje, starate tude i tako, naše su programi jako teški, sirotinski.
Nema tu rješenja, problema tu nema, taj problem ne može riješiti. To su ljudi jedni bednici, siroti, prosijast, tako treba reći, i oni nemaju gdje spavati. Oni moraju da spavaju tu u podrumu. Mnogo su puta njih, odatle što ja terao i milicija, otim zna da oni tu spavaju. I milicija njih kontroliše svaku noć. I ne može njima naći drugo stonište osim ovoga. Jer to su sirotinja, bedna, jadnici.
Ili pravi neki probleme?
Pa ima, eto 2 puta je gore ovo podrumo radi njih.
Mnogim kolegama tuže se, dosađuje život, ubit će se, obeće se, to je glupost, najlakše i najbrža smrt. Otići u radnju, kupiti 3 suve šljive i na posao. Jednu u ruku, drugu u usta, treću u gujstu. I menjati na brzinu pola sata, u rok pola sata, gotova smrt. Ko ne veruje nek uradi pa će se posvjedočiti.
Odakle su ljudi? Iz Novog Sada. A nemaju stan? Nemaju stan. Šta bi ja mogao reći? Šta vi mislite? Molim? Šta vi mislite?
Kraj prvi put.
Mi smo pri kraju trake, prošlo je i dosta vremena. Ja sam obigravao nadležne za ova 2 dana i sad ne znam ako neko od vas ima još nešto da kaže, neki predlog, nešto da doda.
Nema predloga, kome idem da žalim, koga da pitam, sve isto, od jednog do drugog. To ti kaže jedan, to ti kaže drugi. Idi pa radi šta znaš i kako umeš.
Imamo predlog da nemamo gdje spavati, eto ti predloga, to ti predlog. Se mučemo i patimo, to je jedino.
Jedna stvar što do predsjednika grada Novoga Sada ne može doći niko od radnika. Ne prima. Čeka vas tamo na vrati portir i kaže nije unutri, a pozitivno znam da je unutri. Ja sam išao prošlog ponedjeljnika kod njega da ga zamolim, pošto je umro jedan penzioner, mala jedna sobica, može 2 spavati. Išao sam da ga zamolim. Ona je kazao, nema ništa, nije tu predsjednik, kaže opštine, kaže ne možeš ti doći do njega, kaže. Idi napolje.
Dobro, onda da se rastanemo. Dobro, stop.
Devo chiedere la carità, ho 4 figli piangono del pane non ho da dar. Ho 4 figli piangono del pane non ho da dar. Noi anderemo a Roma davanti al Papa e al Re. Noi grideremo ai potenti che la miseria c'è. Noi grideremo ai potenti che la miseria c'è. E per le vie di Roma la bandiera vogliamo alzare.
So now I would like to invite Mr. Želimir Žilnik to join us on stage.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank institution the Balie for organizing the whole presentation. Then, of course, Bojan, who was very precisely analyzing the pieces and films one by one. And of course, first, what I want to tell you who have been so patient in watching those films, really thank you very much for the interest for the films. And then I will say also few things, but actually how I remember that those films came to the screen from my side. It was always some sort of reasons and our needs to answer of various pressures. For instance, this black film is made in 1971 when suddenly new Yugoslav films with the great directors like Dušan Makavejev, Žika Pavlović, Aleksandar Petrović, and 10 others have already been very well received, mostly in Europe, but also in the whole world. Our cinematography just in 4 Berlinale got actually 4 silver bears and 1 golden bear.
Which was early works.
Yeah, so we have been very high, like the best socialistic cinematography, better even than in us, I mean, by judging European critics. And then, in a moment of 70 and 71, huge, like tsunami of cursing and saying very strong accusation
from the government, from the regime,
from first of all from Soviet and from other Eastern European critics, actually came on our head. They said, for instance, to me that I was using CIA money to make these early works. But Avala Film, the biggest producer, they not only gave the money, they invited me. They said, Žilnik, you are now very successful short filmmaker. Please come to our production. We will give you to make your first film. I said, no, I'm not skilled enough. I haven't been in the schools. They said, no, we see some talent, so we will give you whole opportunity. And
did you have to provide them with a script?
Well, of course, they said, tell us what you would like to do. And then I said to them, look, something what is for me very exciting is being a part of student demonstration in '68. I simply, when these demonstrations started on Belgrade universities, the demonstrations have been powerful and huge, you see, and they just occur because actually police intervene in some sort of quarrel between 2 groups of students, some students who have been living in student cities, they are from the province, and some other students from Belgrade. So they have had some arguments, and a big number of policemen came and started hitting them, and quite a few of them have been injured. And then the whole hierarchy of Yugoslavia communists, these big names, you see, like Miloš Minić, Draža Marković, they all came them and calmed them down and said, okay, you are very much now nervous and outraged, so you go on your faculty, you can make a protest on the faculty, but everybody who comes in your courtyard has to be with the index and so on. So they had a big demonstration criticizing actually something what they called, what they named very well. They said, we are criticizing red bourgeoisie, our communistic leaders, from whom many of them have really fight Nazism, have been in the woods, and have been struggled very much to survive, and now they are new rich, taking the villas from old bourgeoisie in Belgrade and so on. They said it is against the communistic ideas, and so they have been very direct, you see. And I was sitting there also as a student, because I was studying also philosophy, and we made a film which is called June Turmoil, Lipanska gibanja. You see what happens, that actually Tito, who was not in Belgrade, he came and he was quite clever, because he said, I agree with all this critique what students are bringing. And then the whole thing was calmed down.
Did you see that as a failure of the protests?
Well, of course, the students have been very naive. When they heard Tito on television, how he said, yes, you young people, you have to, you have bravely criticized us, and we made mistake, I will take care. So then the students start playing, colo and shouting, long live Tito, and so on. So he was more clever than today's leaders.
Instead of a typical reaction of a communist dictator, a tyrant, like our slogan is saying, he extended a hand to the students, and they fell for his charm.
But what happens in the same, actually, summer, only 1.5 months later, it happens the most, I would say, the most unawaited shock, you see. Soviet Union with other socialistic countries, armies, not Yugoslavia being in the package, they occupied Czechoslovakia, which was a socialistic country and very close to our leadership. They wanted to make the same system. That means the system where the borders are open, cooperation with the Western countries are ongoing, and also cooperation with new liberated countries from the Asia and Africa, because in that time Yugoslavia was very much helped by the fact that Yugoslavia had resources from these new liberated countries. So
non-aligned movement.
Yeah, we did not so we did not depend on Soviet Union or whatever. And in the same time, in each of our main cities, there was the universities where actually people from Africa and youngsters from Africa and Asia have been studying, you understand? So many people, I myself was a few years ago in Africa making one film, and with the Minister of Economy, I speak our language. He said, I was in Belgrade, I finished it in Belgrade. So that was, and then because of Yugoslav, also, I would say maybe party leaders who have been very skeptic against this aggression, they went on a big, actually, rallies in Belgrade, Novi Sad, Zagreb, Ljubljana, and I have also listening these leaders, they have shouting, like in 48, when Soviet wanted to occupy us, we will be ready to fight with them. We will bring out tanks on the borders and so. And then my generation was called on the borders, northern borders of Serbia, that means Hungary and so on, and we made the trenches against the Soviet tanks, you understand? That was the atmosphere. So we felt that we are living in a socialistic country which is specific, which is bold enough to come out with this critique, you understand? And then at once, some months afterward, from Soviet Union and other countries start coming some reviews about our films, like they are backwoods, we are all bribed by Westerners. So those stupid things, and even in our newspapers came big articles how Yugoslavian young filmmakers, they invented black films. They don't make like truthful films, black films. So I was sitting with my colleagues one evening, just listening how we are now, Crni Film, Black Film, and so on. We said, who is crazy here? And in that moment, being worried but also very outraged, I just got this small idea. I said,
for the black film.
Yeah. So here was a Karpo Godina, my cinematographer. I said, do you have 16 millimeters material? He said, yes, I have some. And then I said to my assistant, can we maybe sit in a car? It was, for instance, 11 o'clock in the evening, to see are there any clochards in this city of Novi Sad, which is a relatively decent city. So we just went 20 minutes. And in our car, we could just put 5 of them and then send another car.
Well, officially, there was no homelessness in Yugoslavia.
Yeah, officially, they have been like some people who have been pushed away from the public sphere, you understand? So you see, so I did it actually as some sort of answer, which otherwise I could not make, you see. And
so the black film label was kind of the black wave of Yugoslav cinema.
Yes.
Was imagined as a critique, but you embraced it.
Yeah. They start cursing us. They are making black wave. They make black films. They are a bit insane. So when this short film was made, it's interesting. We made it in these 2 or 3 days and edit it one day and send it on the festival. And it's interesting that Yugoslav Festival received it. So it showed it. And then a new avalanche of critics came. This Žilnik, he is insane. He must be put in a hospital and so on. And then I could have a press conference. Says, yes, maybe I am insane. I will go in the hospital. But why you, our leaders, the president of our parliament, president of a committee, you are living in villas, old villas, 60 square meters, whatever. You take these homeless people and we will voluntarily come to film how you are generous and we will proclaim you as a great humanist. And then I was naming those people from the party committee who have been cursing us. I said, comrade, yes, you are. I said, you must understand, we are filmmakers, we are still very, very poor. So that is the reason why I helped them just 2 or 3 days. But you, when you take them, and we will help you. You should have them for 2 or 3 months, and you know.
Because they claimed you kind of show a fake version of reality that you are taking.
So
like the dirty.
of course, the situation was tough, as I think our politicians, including the Tito, they agreed that ideologically we should be criticized, and then officially, to about 6, 7 of filmmakers of ours, most successful in Serbia, but also in Croatia, but also in Slovenia, one in Bosnia only, we actually have been somehow excluded.
Censored, banned.
No, we have been now as a personnel, because we have not been employed in the film companies. We have been freelance, you understand? Also, like the painters have been freelance, musicians have been, so we have been freelance. So they took us the status of freelance, and they took us social security. So actually, we could not continue work. So what we did, we decided, a few of us, maybe 3 or 4, Makavev, Sasha Petrovic, and a few others, we went abroad. Luckily, the borders have been open. We have had a passport. So I happened to go to Germany thinking, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking...
West Germany at the time,
Germany.
right?
I was thinking, you see, this Germany, you see, which committed such a crimes, such a disasters, twice time in 20 years, but now they recovered. I want to see how they had the strength to recover in normal country. It's interesting. When I went in Germany, I knew some of those filmmakers whom I have seen. You know, I already had a Grand Prix on short film festival in Oberhausen, which was in that time the biggest short film in the world. I had Grand Prix in Berlinale. They knew me. So I asked them, did you see any of my films? Yes, because Germany and other countries have been in that time buying each year minimum 25 long film and 40 documentaries. So they said, in our distribution, we have all your films, you understand? Because it was on the negative, you understand? They buy double negative and then make prints. So, but at home, our films have been banned. My film, Žika Pavlović film, Makavejev films, short and long, they have been till 86. So that means, more than 15 years, 16 years. We could not, and when I returned, and then, of course, in Germany, I saw very good atmosphere, but of course, as I was not fluent in German in these first months, I started making these very similar films, like I will make it now, like experimental, but documentary films. And it is interesting that Germans in that time needed each year about 250 short films, as by law, for each film screening, you had to have a short film in front of the long film, and those short films should be being produced in Germany. So, I mean, just very easily, I got somehow the possibility to live and to prepare even the longer film.
But even there you found things you can be critical of, right? Yeah. The grass wasn't much greener on the other side.
But what is interesting? It's interesting that something what I never expected, actually after maybe 2.5 years in Germany, came some confusion and crisis in the state, very similar, but with some other parameters than we have had. What happened? Some of very critical group of intellectuals in Germany, like Bader-Meinhof group, which was a group of very good intellectuals and journalists and some of the activists, they decided that they should go in, let us say, some revenge on the rare but the existing bureaucrats in the institutions where they have been young, serving Hitler. And then the court prosecutor did not react, and they took pistols and started killing those people. So it was tremendous, I would say, confused and dangerous protest. And then two of my films, one short film, which is called Public Prosecution, and the long film was banned by their censorship. They also have a censorship, I didn't know it, because, in that time, but also today, in many countries in the world, you have a censorship that is a commission which, after the film is finished, proved does the film break any laws. And in Germany, they also have it. And then, but what is very funny, and you will understand because you understand Dutch, so they call their censorship "vrijwillige Selbstkontrolle."
Like self-censorship. Yeah.
So
voluntarily.
But altogether, I mean, I felt well because I learned a lot. And I heard the most, I would say, most practical and helpful sentence by Alexander Kluge, who was the chief of association of Germany. He said, with which television station do you cooperate? I said, no one. He said, don't be silly. We cannot make film if we don't have, as a co-producer, television. I said, why? He said, you are stupid. The television has a people employed, has a technique there, and has a laboratory. So these three things for each film in this time and today cost, with the negative, cost about 200,000 euros, you understand? laboratory technique for sound, editing, and so on. So when I returned back, he said, I just knocked on the door of television. I said, I would like to make television films, and I started. And I was received. Also, I was not sure that they will, but they did. Television needs this material. You understand? So I had a portion of time, maybe 4 or 5 years. I was making television films for television Belgrade, television Novi Sad, television Ljubljana, and television Montenegro.
Then after that, you were working almost always with low budgets, right? Was that a conscious choice that you knew that that's the way you can retain your freedom?
Well, of course, I understood in having very friendly relationship with many colleagues of my age and older and younger, I realized how unrealistic and complicated it is in these so small countries and financially so weak, just to pretend to make these big spectacles. That must be then not only connected with the help of the state, but also inside from the dramaturgy and storyline. It has to be somehow some like present to the main ideology. Just think about Veljko Bulajić, you see. Whatever he made, he spent 2 or 3 years, and he to prepare it, he spent at least 10 or 15 million euros, whatever, and altogether his films have not been more distributed than Macavé films. Even less, or than my films, you understand? So I understand that it is parasitic in this so small country with so small, language, you see, which is not used all over the place. I mean,
It cannot be truly commercial.
No, it cannot be independent. Independent in the definitely judgment. So also, this last piece, the piece which was shown with the title "Uprising in Yazak," that was also a reaction, but now in 70 maybe 2, when I was just preparing myself, just somehow checking car how to go to Germany. But then Bulajić, this great director, great in the terms that he is spending a tremendous amount of money, and he's making these spectacles about Second World War, which are partly authentic, but in many cases full of the armor and all these big things like tanks and whatever, what partisans didn't have, you see. So he came, and he came actually to make one film how the food during the Second World War was coming from Vojvodina area illegally to Bosnia, where the most of partisans have been, you see. And then he made a big interview. He said, I also talked to Tito before I came here, and he said, go to Vojvodina and help them to get rid of all this Žilnik depth, what he made with his stupid, silly films, you see.
The black film.
So when it was, I was just editing something on television Novi Sad, and then the guy who was in charge of the program, he came to me, he said, Želimir, I beg you, would you leave maybe television building? I said, why? What was? And then he showed me this Veljko Bulajić thing. And then what I did, I was outraged, but also, thinking how to answer him in a proper way. So I asked some people, this mountain is only from the place Novi Sad where we live, only about 8 kilometers.
Gora.
Yeah, Fruška Gora. So I asked them, which of the village in Fruška Gora suffered very badly from German occupation, and they say, go to Jazak, that is good. So I went in Jazak. I didn't have any ideas what I will make. I just came to them and said, look, I am a filmmaker. Now I landed a camera from the crew, which is making some sort of advertising for the hotel. So can you now show me what happened when German occupation came and how they treated you? And I said, here is the cameraman, here's the sound man, here I am. You just give us advices. So they said, just we are going to be around this small house where administration of our village was. And then we will show you what happened when German came and occupied it. And then the second, they start asking the people, men and women, and torturing them and putting them there. So we made the film actually absolutely following their proposals, you understand?
Which is another thing that you can do if you are not working with a big budget, because big budgets always require a lot of planning. Everything needs to be perfectly thought through, and here you can follow your heart and
so you see,
let reality influence.
That is few of the energies which somehow come together and then somehow give some sort of energy also in the project. First of all, they start talking who did what, and this man or woman will say, can they listen and prove that it is a truth? So they did not talk to me. So the old lady says, in my house, and then they say, yes, you are right. And this name which you are naming, that is those people who have been in your house. And interesting, they have been also now big generals still alive in that time. And then another says, I brought them in my stable, and here. So they check it. I did not want to somehow intervene, thinking, of course, they know it 100 times better. So we made that film.
Did you know that you will become a dissident? Did you just have a desire to make the films, or was it a plan to?
So we never felt that we are dissident. You see, first of all, it will be funny, like other Eastern European, when they say if they have a problem with the project and film, they say we are dissident. But before they would be proclaimed to dissident, they got some huge support for their project. These Eastern European films, from Poland to Czech Republic to Soviet Union, they cost also millions, you see. And in that areas they did not make it low budget. I mean, low budget was in Eastern Europe actually much more than in Western Europe and America. The phrase which was minimizing that you are nobody if you just get
the meaning kind of.
Yes. Yeah. But I felt very comfortable, because, especially in this type of production. Two are reasons. First of all, because then you don't owe the money to anybody. That is one thing. And second, you don't have any influence by anybody, and even this so-called film, very knowledgeable people, they even despise your production. They don't come to watch it and to give you some sort of proposals, whatever. So you are much more free. So that is, and also, I mean, if you ask me now, did I feel that I made any mistake being so stick to these low budget films? I would say no. It was only just the broader actually feeling of being free. You understand?
And what Bojan mentioned is that you were kind of a trailblazer with these docu-fiction hybrid formats that are becoming more and more popular in the last decades. Was it also something that you were aware of, that you want to mix, or was it also a consequence of the low budgets?
Well, I will tell you now what for me remembering and meaning of the film medium is. So I'm born in 42. So I start my elementary school in 51, actually. See? So that was the moment when we stop this friendly relationship with Russia and the others.
Others behind the Iron Curtain.
Till that time, 95% of the films in our cinemas have been Russian films. And maybe 2 or 3 our Yugoslav films, you see, like, Vojanović and these old partisan who have been making first films. But then, when some sort of misunderstanding and attacks came because this first controversial situation was that Soviet Union wanted actually to just put away Yugoslav party program and also this idea of non-aligned movement. So they really have been pressing our leadership, and I'm surprised that they had enough courage and strength that they rejected. I suppose the most courage came from the fact that they know that they will lose the life if they just obey what Stalin wanted, you understand? But then, very quickly, maybe in 1 or 2 months, a relationship with Western countries have been very well somehow started, mostly because actually our generals went in the United States asking for help in the weapons and everything, and that happened. And so first came the weapons, and then some food, and the third came the films from America, cowboy films. Then from Italy, neorealism films, the best. From France, New French Wave,
Godard.
You see. And then plus Bergman and so. So in our cinemas, I have seen what the kids today are watching only in the best cinematheque. You understand? So we have been surprised when we saw first time how world looks like.
Outside.
Because we have been a very poor country, you see, devastated in the war. When I entered my school class, out of 30 young boys and girls, 28 have had wooden shoes, and the cloth was only from old, actually, decks, you understand? So we have been poor, you see. People have come with the maize, which was cooked, and they, for dinner, they eat this maize, you see.
But still, like, the situation, as you say, was much different than in the other countries behind the Iron Curtain.
Well, we don't know that, because I went in other countries maybe 10, 15 years afterwards, but they still, well, Sarita and I have been a few years on one big festival in Romania, and there was a quarrel between director of Romanian festivals. They are now very good, and they have a lot of foreigners and whatever. They are very proud, one of the best. And there was a Romanian guy and Bulgarian guy, and they have been quarrel. And in one moment, Romanian guy says to me, "You Bulgarians, we are for you, Yugoslavia still."
But that's the thing. No, Voor het volgende. Ja. Unfortunately, I was just informed that there's another program coming up at 3. So we're going to have to wrap it up. We were late a bit and the introduction was a bit longer. But we will have the chance to continue tomorrow. I hope that some of you will come tomorrow for the premiere of 80+, Žilnik's new film. And then we will have more chance to talk about other stuff. I'm really sorry that we have to...
No, thank you very much. I mean, you made such an effort then to prepare everything, and then the people got maybe some ideas, so maybe it will be maybe interesting for them to continue. So
for sure. And
so
we can
thank
also
you very
continue
much.
the conversation at the bar.